Hey guys, this is Delphine with a Japanese lesson on the CultureQuirk channel. Alright, continuing with this verb series, last time we were conjugating the mas form. So now we would be conjugating the plain form. Now in order to do that, I have one more lesson that I need to do first, and that is the te form. This is a bit of a standalone thing that you have to learn that you can use on its own, but it's also really useful for future grammar points that you'll be learning, so it's kind of a stepping stone as well. The te form of a verb can be recognized by it ending in te. So just a quick example, the te form of taberu, or to eat, is tabete, and I'll tell you how I conjugated that in just a minute. Now, one situation where you can use the te form is as a command. So if you say to someone, kore o tabete, you're telling them to eat something. Another use of the te form is as a connector. It's kind of like saying and or and then. An example sentence would be, asa gohan o tabete, gakkou ni ikimashita. I ate breakfast and then I went to school. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what the te form is even used for. You use it in a lot of other situations. It's too much to go over at once. But it's definitely necessary to know how to conjugate the te form because it's used for a lot of different stuff. So the way that I was taught the te form is through a song. There's a few different versions of it, and it's just a little mnemonic device that really helped me learn this since it's kind of tough to conjugate these at first. So I'm just gonna sing it real quick and then I'll explain how to use it. So it's to the tune of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which is kind of appropriate with Christmas coming up. Utsurutte, mubununte, sushite kuite guite, surushite kuru kite iku ite. Sorry about my singing. Now let's just go over this one step at a time. We still have the different verb classes, right? And that affects how we're going to conjugate this. With class 1, it's pretty easy. You just have to drop that do at the end and put te instead. And that's how we change the verb to eat from taberu to tabete. Class 2 and 3 are much more complicated, and that's when the song comes in to help. Looking at the first line of the song, we have utsurutte. Those first 3 syllables signify the end of your word, whether it ends in u, tsu, or du. And remember that if it ends in du, it should be a class 2 verb. And the last syllable, which in this case has that little pause in there, te is what you replace that u sound with. So for the verb au, or to meet, you drop that u sound at the end and replace it with te. And so you have atte. Matsu, or to wait, would become matte. Kaeru, to return, would become kaete. Just as a reminder to make sure that you're getting these, remember that in this case, kaeru is a class 2 verb, which is why it becomes kaete instead of kaete, the way taberu becomes tabete instead of tabete because it's class 1. The next line of the song works the same way. Mubu nu nde. And this time you're replacing that u at the end with the sound nde. Nomu, to drink, would become nonde. Asobu, or to play, would become asonde. Shinu, or to die, would become shinde. Down to the next line, this one's a little bit different now. It shows 3 different patterns. Sushite, kuite, guide. Now, a verb ending in su, that su will become shite. Hanasu, or to talk, will become hanashite. Moving on to the next one, ku would become ite. So kaku, or to write, would become kaite. And for the last one, gu becomes ide. So oyogu, or to swim, would become oyoide. Next in the song are those 2 class 3 verbs that they just give you. Suru becomes shite, and kuru becomes kite. And the very last verb there is iku, which just happens to be an exception to the whole thing. Normally you would think, okay, iku is a class 2 verb, kuite, the ku should change to ite, but it's not ite, it's just ite. I guess it sounded kind of weird or whatever, it's an exception. Ite. So now that you know that, let's go through the song again one more time, more slowly, and you can follow along and actually understand. Utsurutte, mubununde, sushite kuite guide, surushite kuru kite iku ite. So that is how you conjugate to the te form. After a while, you won't need the song anymore the more you see these verbs. But even to this day, if I'm stuck with a word and I don't know it really well, I'm not sure how to conjugate it, sometimes I just pull up that song real quick and it helps me out. So sing it to yourself all the time, every day. Get it stuck in your head. Feel free to find a different tune. Like I said, there are plenty of versions of it out there, so find what works for you, but I would definitely recommend learning it. It's a really nice little memory tool. Now this te form will help you out with the last video of this series where we'll finally be conjugating those plain form verbs. So that's your homework. Learn those te forms by next week. You know the drill. Leave any questions you have in the comments section below. Let me know how you're liking these lessons, and I'll see you next week. If you live in the US, then happy Thanksgiving, and as always, happy learning.